Hello YouTube viewers, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sweet Tips, and today what we're going to do is part 3 of the jeweler's filings and clippings. But before I get started on that, I want to make a couple points here. There was a lot of comments about adding copper to the clippings instead of adding silver to do the inquartation. And that is a total experiment. I like experimenting with new processes just to see how they're going to work. And then if they work well, I incorporate them into my refining processes. If they don't, I just let them go. So this is the reason I added the copper instead of the silver. I could have added silver, calculated how much I put in, and then retrieve that back out of there when I get the silver to return to the jeweler. But I decided to use the copper and see how this is going to work. So we're going to try to get the silver out of those solutions by cementing it out with copper today. The other thing is I added my email to my channel. Click on the about on my channel, the little icon that says about, and I've put my email in there so people can ask questions about these processes. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this is my phone, and so if you email me or ask me a question on the social media, I don't get to respond using my phone. This is a flip phone, and I don't have a smartphone yet because I can't afford one. So if you ask me a question and I don't get back to you right away, that's because I have to come back in, get on my iPad and check my emails. One other thing before we start part 3, I'm doing this material for my friend the jeweler for free, and in exchange for that I'm going to pay him 100% a spot of the gold. I'm going to return his jewels, and I'm going to return the silver to him because he wants that. And in return, what I get is an opportunity to work with the actual waste from a real jeweler and make a video about it and publish that on my YouTube channel. And what I'll probably end up doing with this gold that I recover is making it up into a nice ingot, stamping Sweet Tips on it and the weight and all the other stuff that's associated with the ingot, and put it up for sale on my eBay store. And so that's what I intend to do with the pure gold ingot that I recover from this jeweler's waste. Okay, no further delays here. Let's get started on part 3 right now. Okay, we're right back out where we left off. And what I'm going to do here is, this is my imported gold that's being treated with dilute nitric. Everything's cold right now. What I'm going to do is get a little sample of this, and we're going to test this solution, see how much silver is in this solution. I'm going to put hydrochloric acid in here. If there's silver in here, we'll get an instant reaction and form silver chloride by adding some hydrochloric acid. And we got just a little bit of silver going on in there, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to our beaker down here that contains our solution that has our jeweler's silver in it. I'm going to add this solution in right now, pour this off. It's going to have quite a bit of free nitric acid in it also. You can tell by the clarity of the liquid there. Notice how the chunks of gold are holding together nicely for me. That's what we want to see here. We don't want that gold crumbling into a powder, because it would make doing this right here, what I'm doing, very difficult. Trying to get the solution off that gold if it falls apart into a powder. And now what I'm going to do is add some more dilute nitric to this gold up here. A little bit more water here, distilled water. And then I'm going to add some more nitric to that. Nitric acid. And we'll continue these nitric boils on this quartered gold to get the rest of the copper out of there. That should do it. It's about a 50-50 dilute nitric solution on there now. I'm going to turn the heat up on this and let this start cooking. Okay, here's our jeweler's silver solution. It's going to have copper, maybe a little bit of palladium in there, not much, but a little bit. Mostly silver in here. And what I'm going to do now is add some copper to this. And when I add this copper in, there's a whole bunch of free nitric in here. Normally what I would do at this point is add more silver to this to consume the excess nitric. But since this is my jeweler's silver, I'm just going to put a piece of copper in here. And this is why you don't want to put copper into a solution that has a lot of excess nitric in it, because the copper will get needlessly consumed by the excess nitric. Alright, I think our silver here is coming out of the solution onto that copper. See it cementing out on there? That's our pure silver metal coming out of solution on the copper. I'm going to pour in a little bit of distilled water here to dilute this solution down a little bit and help the reaction. There's the silver coming out of solution on the copper. It's only been a couple of minutes since I put that piece of copper in there. You can see the pieces of silver becoming bloated and rising to the top. What we have here is a Buckner funnel. It's a ceramic funnel. It's got a floor in it with a whole bunch of little bitty holes. There's a rubber seal on top of our 2-liter sidearm flask. I stick the Buckner funnel down in there to create a seal between the flask and the funnel. And here I've got one of my specially prepared filter papers that's made to fit right down in here. And it will hug the walls of the Buckner funnel and capture all of the solids and not let any of it get down inside the funnel. Got my vacuum system running. I'm going to dampen the filter with some paper or some water and get that to seal up, and I'm starting to pull a vacuum over here. So now what we'll do is we'll set our cementation and silver going on in this beaker. We'll set that aside. We'll reach in here and grab this, which is our filings that have been treated with dilute nitric acid. And I'm going to filter this solution off of here. This solution will contain some palladium, possibly, maybe some platinum, but mostly silver. So we're going to go ahead and pour this into the funnel now and get all the filings down inside of this funnel so we can get the solution rinsed off of it. Here we go. Here's our solid material coming up out of the beaker here now. Going to rinse this down and collect it all in this filter paper here and get all the silver rinsed off of it. The time right now is about 3:15. I put this copper in about 2:45, so it's been in there about half an hour. You can see there's an angry reaction going on in there. That's because there's a whole bunch of excess nitric still in that solution. It's going to needlessly consume my copper, but I don't care. I got plenty of copper. The nitric getting used up like this is not a problem. I'm going to put another piece of copper in and continue that reaction. In the meantime, our solution over here has been pulled through the filter. Rinse the filter out here real good. Again, I'm trying to rinse all of the silver out of our beaker, or out of our filings here, because the next step is to dissolve the filings in aqua regia. If there's a whole bunch of silver in here, then the hydrochloric acid in the aqua regia will react with the silver nitrate in here, form silver chloride, and ruin our process here. Time is 3:20. And if you look inside there, you can see that's what's left of the piece of copper, the first piece of copper that I put in. And the nitric is dissolving that copper and probably dissolving the silver just as fast as it cements out. This is why we usually add additional silver to consume that excess nitric before we put the copper in. But in this case, this is the jeweler's silver. So we're just going to keep adding copper until all of it stays cemented out, and we can get a accurate measurement of how much silver was in his material. 3:30 right now. Took about 10 minutes to dissolve that last piece of copper. There it is. It just floated to the surface. So what I'm going to do is just keep adding more copper here until all that nitrate gets consumed. Here's our filings. We've got them rinsed off with distilled water. We're going to have to take this solution right here and put it back. I'm going to put it back up into this beaker. And then we'll put copper in here and get any metals that are in this solution out of the solution onto copper in this beaker. Over here, I've got the silver coming out of solution on pieces of copper. As you can see from all those fumes in there, there's a whole bunch of excess nitric. It's eating up my copper just as fast as I put it in there. Back in the back, I've got my encorded gold that's been encorded with copper heating up back there. And it's boiling now, and there's no more fumes being produced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off the heat back here and start letting this cool down. And then what we'll do is once that cools down, we'll get that solution off of there and then dissolve that gold in aqua regia and refine it. I've got all the solid material rinsed off real good. All the silver should be off of it now. What I'm going to do is pull the funnel off here, get it out of the way, set it back up out of the way back here. And we're going to take our flask, pour our solution into this beaker up here. Get a little bit of our solution here in this container and add some hydrochloric acid. Test for the presence of silver. Hydrochloric acid. And you can see we get a nice cloud of silver chloride forming in there. That's got right much silver in it. So we'll put some copper in here and get the silver to cement out on that copper. Got a piece of filter paper here. Dip it in our solution. Got some stannous chloride. Put it on our filter paper with the solution on it. got like zero reaction. I don't see any palladium or platinum coming out there for that test. I've removed my second burner back here to make some room in the back of the fume hood here. Here's our first reaction. There's a little bit of silver down on the bottom there. We'll set this back out of the way now. I'm going to add some pieces of copper to this solution. Get that reaction going. And I'm going to set this back out of the way as well. And now what we'll do is, I've got a clean beaker here, and I'm going to take the filings out of this funnel back here and add it to this clean beaker. Here's our filings. I'm going to carefully get it out of the funnel here, and you'll be able to see how this filter setup works pretty good to keep the material from getting inside the Buckner funnel there. Boom. That's nice and clean. That's what we want to see. Okay, I want to take a look at this reaction here. I just added copper to that solution. If you look in here, it's turning black on the copper. It's a dark black color. That's more of a indication of some kind of platinum group metals coming out of solution. We'll just let this sit in here and continue to react. In the meantime, what I want to do here is get this set up to start dissolving this gold in aqua regia. I'm going to pour off this used nitric back here. Still got some free nitric in it. I'll use that in a later refining. So I'm just going to pour. This is cooled off now. Came apart a little bit, but that's our gold that was quartered with copper. I'll pour off this nitric solution and save it. Now what we'll do is we'll put some hydrochloric acid in there in both of these and start dissolving these with aqua regia. Okay, I've got hydrochloric acid here, and what we're going to do is add some hydrochloric acid to our gold here. It's been imparted with hot nitric. Here we go. I just added the hydrochloric acid to this beaker with the gold in it. I'm going to pour some in this one. I filled that to about the 400 milliliter level on this beaker here. These are the filings. This is the clippings that's been quartered with copper, parted with nitric. I'm going to add a few, about a half a milliliter of sulfuric acid here. Precipitate out any lead that may be present. I'm going to set this up on the heat and start dissolving this gold. And I'm going to add some concentrated nitric acid here to form aqua regia in our beaker. That's about 3 milliliters right there. There's 6. And there's 9. 9 milliliters of concentrated nitric in with the gold and hydrochloric acid now. Let this react. This only took about maybe 6-8 minutes to dissolve. I'm going to pull it down now. I'm going to add some ice cubes here. I'm going to cool the solution down so we can filter it and do the first precipitation on it. While I'm waiting for this to cool down, what I'll do is I've got a fresh bottle of nitric here, and I'm going to add some nitric acid into the beaker that has our filings and hydrochloric acid already in the beaker. Just going to dump some in here, maybe about 50 ml or so to form aqua regia in there. And then we're going to put this, swirl it around a little bit, put this up on the heat and just let that cook for a while. Well, we've got our filings dissolving in the back there. What I'm going to do is I've got a filter set up here. And what I'll do is our gold solution has been cooled off with some ice. I've got a number 2 filter paper in here. I'm going to turn the vacuum on and we're going to filter gold solution that we just cooled with ice. Here we go. I'm going to filter this solution now through a number 2 medium filter paper. Adjust this up a little bit. Here's what's left in the filter. There's some small pieces of trash in there, little fragments of dirt and whatnot. What we'll do now is take the funnel off of there, transfer our solution into a clean beaker, and precipitate it with sodium metabisulfite. Still cloudy. It's okay, this is our first precipitation. Alright, here we go with the first precipitation on the unquarted stuff. Sodium metabisulfite going in the container here. Precipitate out to pure gold. Alright, I'm going to test this solution with stannous, make sure everything come out of solution. Still seeing some color there, so we're gonna put a drop of stannous on there. We still got gold in solution. I think I see a little bit of orange underneath that, indicating platinum. So what I'm gonna do here is add some more sodium metabisulfite until it all precipitates out. our familiar white foam. I add 2 more spoons of sodium metabisulfite, and trying to see if I can get that gold to bunch up down there, but it's not budging. I'm going to stick another filter paper in here, get a little bit of solution on there, do another stannous test here, and you can see we got all the gold to come down now. So we'll let this settle, get the gold out of there. Alright, I've got this gold precipitated out of the filings. I'm going to pour off the waste solution into a temporary container here. Hydrochloric acid. Gonna rinse the gold off with it. Stuck to the bottom. Perfect. Okay, I've completed the first rinse of my precipitated gold here to get those chemicals rinsed off. I'm going to pour this off now into my temporary container here. I'm going to add a little bit more hydrochloric acid to rinse it again. A little bit. What we'll do is I'm going to cover this up back here and leave it in the back for a second to settle. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the filings off of that burner back there, and I'm going to bring that up here on my stir plate and put a stir bar in there. Here's my stir bar. I'm going to drop it in back here. And then we're going to move the whole plate up on top of my hot plate stirrer here. And start stirring this to improve the action of the chemicals on the reaction here. Alright, I've got the filings up here on the stir plate. I'm going to add a little bit more hydrochloric acid here to keep things moving along, and let that continue to boil and stir on that hot plate. I'm going to add in a small shot of nitric acid here, and we're going to keep extracting the gold out of this jeweler's waste here. It's probably about 20 milliliters of concentrated nitric acid. We'll just let this cook now. We've been boiling here for about 3 hours now. I'm going to dip down in here, get a little bit of solution on our piece of filter paper here. I'm going to take some stannous chloride, give it a test here, and you can see by that black stain that we've got gold in solution. Alright, we're going to turn off the stir bar here. I'm going to turn the heat off, and now I'm going to dilute this down a little bit with some distilled water here. We'll let this cool down, and then we'll filter this and precipitate out the pure gold. Take it down off the heat here, set it in the back. Okay, here's the gold from the recorded stuff that I did. This is my waste container. Let me get this back out of the way now. And what we'll do is pull these silver solutions up here, and let's take a look at that and see what we got in here. Okay, this is the silver that's cemented out from the filings. I treated them with nitric acid. And look at these pieces of copper, man. They got some black looking material on them, along with a little bit of silver. And then over here is the other jar. Let's take a look inside of here and see what we got. There's a little bit of silver down at the bottom there. We'll be able to recover that and get that out of there. Let's see here. Down here on the bottom, some silver. So this is going to work out okay, I think. Get the jeweler his silver back for him. Alright, here I've got a beaker. It's got a little bit of distilled water in it with a little bit of silver in it. What I'm going to do is just transfer these pieces out of here, out of the jeweler's container here, and transfer it over into here, because this is still going to, that copper will still work to cement the silver out of this solution that I've been saving. I think I had a little piece down in here. Get that out of there. Alright, I think we got all the silver out of here now. I meant to say we got all the copper out of here now. It's just going to be the silver in our solution. Now what we'll do is take this one and do the same thing. Just get the copper out of here. Put it in this beaker over here for later use. That black material is probably going to be some precious metals. Clinging to the copper, but I'll get that out later on by adding some more silver nitrate to that solution there over here, and get everything cemented out. That's it. Another piece. Okay, now that we've got everything cemented out of these solutions on copper, I'm going to get the copper out of the solutions by filtering it out, and then we'll take the silver that we get in this filter, melt it up into a button, and figure out how much the jeweler's going to get back. Okay, after tilting the beaker to pour it into the funnel, you can see the silver on the bottom of the beaker there that's cemented out on those pieces of copper. We'll get this into this filter down here now. Okay, here's our silver from the jeweler's waste. it's a respectable amount there. He told me that he expected about 20% of his scrap would be silver. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start pouring this solution through the filter here. I've got a little room. We're trying to get all the silver into our filter here. Okay, this is the solution that I added the copper to earlier. It was some rinse water from my silver cell clean out and had a little bit of silver in it. And you can see the silver coming out of solution on that copper in there. Fairly interesting. I just wanted to show that. And what we're going to do now is take a look back at our silver from the jeweler's waste. You can see in the filter here is quite a bit, more than I figured there would be. And then here's the bottom of this beaker. It's got some real fine material silver. But if you notice how dark gray that is, cement silver usually looks a light gray color. So I'm thinking this is going to have a little bit of platinum group metals in it. Here you can see the green liquid dropping out of the bottom of the funnel there. Looks fairly clear. It doesn't have a lot of particulate in it. And up here in our funnel is the metal that we cemented out of those solutions from the jeweler's waste onto copper. Alright, I'm going to try to rinse this material with some distilled water the best that I can here. Get all the green liquid rinsed off of it. Alright, while I'm waiting for this silver to filter out here, I'm going to move this out of the way. And what we're going to do is bring down our filter flask down here, connect my vacuum line, and wet the filter. A number 102 filter in this flask down here. I'll wet this a little, and I'm going to bring our solution from up here, our gold filing solution that we had boiling in Aqua Regia. I'm going to bring that down here. We're going to filter that now and get a precipitation on this. Here we go. All right, I've got all the material out of here. I just want to show you this up in the beaker here. This is pretty neat looking. That's the abrasive material, that gray looking stuff. That's the abrasive material from the jeweler's grinding wheel. Let me get that rinsed all down into the filter here. That's not precious metals, that's the abrasive grit from the jeweler's wheel where he grinds the pieces of jewelry. Alright, we got everything in the filter now. Good to go. I've got the solids in this funnel rinsed out. I've got all the gold bearing solution down here in the flask. And in a minute we're going to take this out and precipitate the pure gold out of it. But before then, what we're going to do is I was going to take the gray mud in this funnel, get it out of here, and melt it into a button. but my experience says that's probably not a good idea. That gray mud is probably going to have some palladium in it. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the silver here back into this beaker, and we're going to dissolve this one more time in nitric. It just doesn't make sense to melt this palladium / silver mud. It's in a finely divided state, right, like it is. And so what I'm going to do is add some distilled water, and then we're going to put some nitric acid in, covered up, put it back up here on the heat, dissolve it, and then I'll filter it, get any solids out of there, and then we'll try to extract the palladium out of there and separate the palladium from the silver. Just back up on the heat back here. Alright, here we're going to take this. This is our waste from our silver solutions. What I'll do is I'll add this to a beaker and let it settle, make sure I don't have any precious metals settle out in there. I don't think there is. I think it's going to all be gone. If nothing settles out, I'll just add this to my waste treatment bucket. I'm going to set it up here out of the way. And then we're going to take, I've got a clean beaker here. We're going to take our gold bearing solution, add it to this beaker. Before we precipitate, I'm going to dip a piece of filter paper in here and check it with stannous chloride testing solution. Just verify that we've got gold in solution. That dark stain means that we have gold in solution. Okay, back here is our gold from the inquarted gold that we did with inquartation with copper. It's had a first precipitation, and now what we're going to do is, this is the gold bearing solution from the Filings. Got some sodium metabisulfite here, and what we're going to do is try to precipitate the gold out of this solution here with our sodium metabisulfite. Here we go. That should be enough to kick us off. Stick the stirrer rod down in there. Just stuff stirred up a little bit. I can see the solution turning brown, which is an indication that we're getting gold coming out of the solution there. Got a piece of filter paper here. Stick it down in our solution. Check to see if we got all our gold precipitated now. Drop a stannous on here. And oh, we're getting a little bit of an orange stain there. Which tells me we've got some, notice there's no more brown stain. So all the gold has come down. It's probably sitting down here in the bottom. It's a dirty solution, so you really can't see into it. But if you look at that orange stain there, that's an indication that we have platinum in this solution here. It's not very much, it's just a trace amount, but there is some platinum in this waste solution. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to dip my This is a piece of filter paper on the end of a bamboo skewer that I split apart at the top there. I'm gonna dip this down in here, get a little bit of our solution, oops, on the filter paper, add some stannous and see what kind of test result we get here. And it does kind of appear, and not much. It does have a little bit of a brown stain to it, indicating we may have some palladium in solution. If you look at it long enough, it looks like it's turning a little bit orange as well. So we may have some platinum in there with it. Okay, here's where we're at. Back here is our precipitated gold from the inquarted gold that we inquarted with copper. Up here we got our filings dissolved in the gold precipitated. Notice that we've got a real dirty solution here. When you got a dirty solution, it's hard to tell when the gold is settled out, so I'm just going to let this settle. And then back up here, I've got the silver that we recovered. I put it on and got it redissolved. It's also a very dirty solution. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this heat off. It's getting late, and I'm getting ready to conclude this part 3. This will conclude part 3 of the jeweler's filings and clippings. As you can see, it is a long, drawn-out process because all those metals are commingled together, and it's my job to separate them and get pure metal. A word about, too about the processes. I think using copper to inquart and recover the jeweler's silver was a success. Instead of using my silver to inquart his gold with, I was able to exclude my silver, and by doing this I was able to just recover the silver that was in his material. So I'm going to say that was a success here. Also, the amount of platinum group metals out there is very small. There are traces of palladium and traces of platinum in those waste solutions. There's not enough in there to try to refine, and what I'll end up doing is putting those waste solutions in my stock pot and recovering those platinum group metals from my stock pot. One quick word to those who have donated to my PayPal account. Those donations are greatly appreciated. They help me out greatly in maybe paying my water bill or my light bill, and ensure that I can keep producing some refining videos here. And I just wanted to say thank you to those folks who have contributed to my PayPal account. Okay, this will conclude part 3 of the jeweler's filings and clippings video. Thanks for watching.